Hey guys, RC here, back with the last video of the night. Oh my gosh, it's 9:15. I've been at this for, I don't know, 4.5 hours, 5 hours, not counting the break for dinner and whatnot. So I certainly hope you guys listen to this. Um, yeah, they will not be this long again. I really did not have the intention of it being this long, but once I started covering, the top four teams, it rapidly spiraled out of control. So we're going to hit the ACC, the last conference. I wanted to make sure I hit some coaches that I had not hit yet. So we're going to hit Nigel's Seminole Nation, Larry Spader, a new coach at Georgia Tech this year. Darren, I have not covered any of his teams, mainly because I don't know where he's at anymore. He says he's at Baylor, but I thought he left there. I don't know. But I know he's at Maryland still, so we'll cover Maryland. JC at the U, we'll cover those. Sean, I knew we had already covered at Wyoming, I believe, or somewhere. And Harry, I know we covered his teams twice. So that's our four teams for here. Maryland should be favored to win it and get back to the national title game, barring running into Florida or Ohio State in an earlier round. Clemson, 7th place. Florida State, 4th place. Wake Forest, 6th place. NC State, 12th. Boston College, 8th. Moving over to the Coastal, Georgia Tech, 3rd. Virginia, 11th. North Carolina, 10th. Virginia Tech, 2nd. And again, that is Harry's team. So Harry's three teams picked to finish first, and 2nd. I think that says a lot about Harry as a coach. Miami, 5th place. And Louisville, 9th place. All right, so let's dive into this. I'm going to close that because I don't need it anymore. And we're going to start with Florida State, if I can find them. There they are, Seminoles. True story. My best friend from high school, big Seminole fan. We had a falling out in high school. We were best friends. He got mad at me doing something that he told me to do, and then didn't understand why I was upset that my grandfather died, and so we quit being friends for a while. For probably about 15 years, we kind of rekindled the friendship, gave it another shot. He had moved to Florida, so we didn't see each other anymore. But it was a social media friendship, and it quickly became apparent he had not changed, even though we were over 40 at that point. He was unable, he was okay to poke jokes at Tony Romo because I was a Cowboy fan, and it was okay for him to poke fun at my teams, but I made a couple of comments about Jameis Winston and all the things that were going on at Florida State, and immediately I was a butt, and we ceased being friends once again, and this time it's going to be for good. So that's unfortunate. My longest term friend in real life, no longer friends, but he's a Seminole fan, so I don't like the Seminoles. Actually, I like the Seminoles a good bit. I was a big Bobby Bowden fan, but yeah, some bitter wounds under the behind the curtain. But they're projected to finish 4th, try to get a win over Florida. Good luck with that. My video's ready to publish. Awesome. So the Big East edition is going up now. It is not private. I did not do that. Quit telling me that. Let's see. Army at South Florida, so a top 10 program, Arizona, and I guess that's a hard-coded game for them. So let's see, 1, 2, Four, five, six, seven, eight. I'm guessing that Florida game is a hard-coded rivalry game for them, so they only get three out of conference plus Florida. That's a that's a heck of an out of conference game to have every single year, and I guess I guess they could end up with the U on the schedule too, but they seem to have avoided that this year. But Army, South Florida, and at Florida, so the two ranked teams on the road. Uh, Close to 500, fourth place, try to get a win over Florida. They run a smash mouth, tight end Justin McMullen. Well, we've talked about when your tight end's your best player. A 4-3 defense, defensive tackle Tanner Bentley. Give me a second here, guys. I'm going to have to figure out why it's doing that. Um, Public, save changes. I think we're good there. Let me see if it'll show up. That's 3.8. I don't know, just sometimes I get the weirdest stuff that happens there. All right, looks like it's done. Sorry about that. All right, let's see. You don't need to see all my Dungeons and Dragons websites. Um, Smash Mouse. Okay, we're ready to move into the depth chart. 52 prestige. That's what I wanted to look at. So probably want a five, 5, 6 at worst. 7, 8 would be really, what you would. 7 would be what you'd like. 8 would be really good, and 9 would be like outstanding. And you should only have a couple of those, which we see a few. Quarterback, I would say they're under strength. Running back, you probably got one guy that you really like there. Roundtree's not too bad. Pretty good receiver core, at least on the three deep. The four deep, 3 and 4 need some seasoning there. One really good tight end, probably could be all conference. Need some development here. Pretty solid across the offensive line. Sumier's probably more backup in caliber, but could be worse. So you're going to go with him. I really like they're three deep at the other positions. So again, you might take one of these guards and slide them over and make them your starting center just to beef up your line a little bit. Lack of quarterback's going to hurt. Defense, solid three deep on the edges. Really good three deep at the interior line, so that's really good. So you could actually go with a 4-man line scheme. Solid linebackers. McMullen is really good. Huntley's right there. And you actually have Blanco's pretty good and Crane as well. So you have a good two deep there. Austin with some development will be in the mix for pretty good and serviceable. Serviceable corners. Davis just needs to bulk up. So does Cheney. And you'll have at least a serviceable three deep for your prestige there. Probably not for your conference. These guys are going to get lit up by somebody like Maryland throwing on you, but not much you can do there. Basham, pretty good safety. I would probably move Fine over to the strong safety and make those my two starters. Williams, Martin, they'll be okay, but they need some seasoning. True freshman, yeah. So I might redshirt one of those guys and then bring Fine over. Queen is a sophomore. I might even redshirt him or Townsell to get another year out of them because they just need to develop. But of course, we're post redshirt, so it's too late to take those suggestions, but just kind of some things that I would be looking at. Overall, the defense doesn't look bad. Lot to like on the offense, but I think quarterback play is going to be a little too inconsistent to get them some of the wins that they would like, especially with some of the opponents that they're going to be facing. Let's see, who's next on the board? How about, well, there's Maryland. Let's go ahead and look at them. Of course, Darren, 3 national championships, 11 conference championships. 25 postseason appearances. Darren, I am curious, have you made the playoffs every single year? And if has anybody else made the playoffs every single year? I know I had with Texas for a long time, but then it kind of fell apart, and I think 3 or 4 years I've missed the playoffs. So just kind of curious. A lot of underclassmen on this team. I mean, he's got as many sophomores as he does upperclassmen combined. So let's see. Cal, number 10. Number 1, Ohio State. Number 9, Texas Tech. And then Navy. Again, he does not shirk going after the big guns, and he makes it stick. National title, top 5 in the country. Vertical offense, Jacob Garvey. 52 defense, and cornerback Chris Joe. Let's see. Jacob Garvey. I mean, when your second string guy is better than teams like Texas have, and your third string guy is a guy that, Texas would probably sell their soul to get, that's just sad. Garvey. Oh, that's horrible. Did your other guy graduate or turn pro or something? He must have. Oh, here we go. Vin Butler, 13 starts last year, 5,500 yards. Oh, no wonder he got benched. He threw 13 picks to 38 touchdowns. Actually, I forget who your other guy was, but 71%, 2,000. Yeah, 17 and 5. That's just horrible for 2 starts. Yeah, yeah. I see no reason why he would have a shot at the Heisman this year. Culberson, really good running back. Tubbs, still quality there. O'Rourke. Now, this is what gets me. I can't recruit the quarterbacks, and I forgo the receivers. He gets multiple quarterbacks and gets receivers. It just makes me sick. 10, 10, 9, 9, 9. Yeah, well, that's a national championship line. Oh, that's not good enough. 8, 9, 9, 9, 8. That's his backups. 7, 10, 7, 10, 7. That's his third string, guys. I'm just going to go cry in the corner now. Offensively, I don't think Maryland's going to hurt this year. Look for them to be number 1 in offense again. 2 deep off the edge. 4 deep, counting some guys that just need a little developmental time. 2 deep, really solid. 4 deep in the interior. Yeah, 2 really good linebackers. Barraza is going to be okay. Weir's going to be even better with some development. You got a 10 guy backing up, or he may start, but so you got a 6-8 guy backing up. What do we talk about? Teams with first world problems? Yeah, Maryland's one of them. Joe, Wood. A little bit of a concern on the second side. Joe's going to be shut down on one side. You've got really strong free safeties, and your strong safeties just need some development. I mean, we're going to see out of Maryland what we see every year, and that's going to be a lot of offense, hard to score on, and good luck beating them. And they're probably going to be right back in the playoffs, hoisting another ACC title, and and then people will be just hoping that they get picked off somehow. Let's see, Miami. Let's go ahead and cover them next. All right, J.C. Stewart, 185 and 134 overall, 100 and 100 in the ACC. Have not won a conference title, 22 postseason appearances though. Very young team as well, 29 upperclassmen, 33 incoming freshmen. They're looking for a 5th place finish and a bowl game. They use the run and gun, running back Chris Moore, 34 defense, defensive tackle Dan Grant are their key players. They are a 64 team, so very similar. We're looking for guys in the sixes, probably sevens is what you would like to see. Anything 8 and above would be considered really good. So quarterback, you've got one serviceable guy. Burris could be there with some development. He's a true freshman. Lack of depth there is a concern with injuries. Eason has an 81 durability, so hopefully he shouldn't get hurt. You've got two really good running backs. McPhail will be good as well. Even their fourth string will be serviceable. They're three deep receivers. Actually, all four deep is pretty good. Thompson and Duckett will get better, and that'll make the whole receiver core better. Pretty solid across the front, but you can definitely see the variation between here and what Maryland had a moment ago, and that's to be expected with prestige. But I tell you, that's a pretty solid looking offensive line. Your two deep isn't bad. He can go four deep at tackle with guys that I think would be starter quality at Miami. Three deep at the guards. Barnes, maybe a slight upgrade at center, but still that six is, right in the ballpark with what you would like to get. So I don't see anything wrong there. It just depends on what his quarterback can pull off this year. I think he's got all the other pieces to be successful on the offensive side. We didn't look at his schedule. Let me look at that real quick. Central Michigan, Toledo, number 7, Georgia. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Who did I miss? Louisville. Louisville's not in this conference. They're Big East, aren't they? So that must be his third opponent. So Central Michigan, Toledo, Louisville, and Georgia. Finishes off with a bang. All right, back to the depth charts. Defense. Grant's going to be solid up the middle. He's got a solid 4 deep there. Just needs a little development from the back end. And that'll be real solid, especially Hanson and Davis. Hanson must be a freshman. Yep. Bannister coming off the edge. He should be a freshman too. He is. Marshall even is a freshman. So those guys will be coming up. Maybe if you had one more guy, you'd certainly like to maybe redshirt one of them. But with Lindsey being so bad, you really can't afford to for injury purposes. Linebacker looks really strong, especially the outside. Your 2, 3, and 4 guys are all serviceable for backups. You're only 2 deep at the middle, which is okay, but you really hope that you don't have an injury there and have to see either one of these guys even looking for their helmet or their shoulder pads during a game. Cornerbacks are okay. Condon, I'd probably play him over Stoke just with the upside, unless there's something about Stoke that just jumps out at you. Rhodes and Combe, I think, will be pretty solid safeties. Merriweather, he must be a freshman. Yeah, so they look like they had a pretty talented freshman class, number 22 in the nation. Again, that would be a guy I'd like to maybe redshirt if he wouldn't transfer, unless he was a transfer risk. But you really have a lack of depth over here at the 3 and 4 outside of Barnes. So, you're okay up to the nickel, but, dime packages, you're going to be struggling. And facing teams like Maryland, you kind of need to recruit to be a dime package team. Just something to think about. So let's see. Maryland, Florida State, the U, Georgia Tech. There they are. All right, this will wrap up the videos for tonight. There's a Facebook message from Gary Gorski. 7:49 left to record, so we're on track to finish on time. Larry Spader. Larry's one of the newer owners, and I've seen him getting pretty active in several leagues. So, Larry, welcome to Sim Nation. Hope you're enjoying it. If there's anything we can do for you besides throw games, let us know, because we just won't do that. We all want to win, but we do it mostly with a smile. for the most part. Like I said, I give Mike Dills a lot of crap, but Mike and I are really good friends outside of the game and talk to each other pretty regularly. Um, but yeah, welcome to Sim Nation. I know you've been here for a little while, but like I said, I've been seeing his name pop up on several different leagues. I think he just joined the basketball league um, today or yesterday, something like that. So look forward to competing with you there. Georgia Tech picked to finish third. Florida Atlantic, Texas A&M, Baylor, and Georgia. So Georgia closing out Miami and Georgia Tech. That's interesting that they're going to be the season ender for both teams in this conference. You know, I bet when you're in this conference, when you get your schedule, the first thing you go is, did I have to face Maryland this year? Oh, darn. It's weird because, like, for me with Texas, since Oklahoma moved to the North Division, we've rarely played outside of the conference championship or playoffs for whatever reason, and I guess it has to do with finishing where you finish in your conference race in your division. So finishing first or second, and he finishes first or second, we don't have to face each other. I guess that's how that works. But um, you know, that was always a beast with the three teams squaring off every year in the same division. That was rough. Let's see. They run a West Coast tight end Henry Kramer, a 43, relying on strong safety Woody Oldham, 194 and 130. 3 conference championships, 21 postseason appearances. All right, they are a 64 prestige, and you can see gaps here, so certainly has not set his roster just yet. There may be some better players, again, that we've missed on all these teams. Could change some of my opinions, but that's all they are, is opinions, and, opinions are like butts. Everybody has one, and they all stink. So, I'm not trying to offend anybody with these. So if you've watched these, hey, I'm just trying to bring something to the league, and not trying to offend or hurt anybody's feelings. Solid quarterback, good durability, so he shouldn't get hurt. Baxter, I would not consider him to be backup quality at a 5. I'd be looking for, like I said, 6s would be backups, 7s and 8s are starters, and you would like the occasional 9, to boost your team up to that next level, is what you'd be looking for. So good starting quarterback, pretty weak behind him. Brown, sophomore, yeah. Morris, I would bet, is a freshman or a sophomore, true freshman. Behind there, pretty big drop off. Solid receiver core, third string. I could live with a 6 as a third string receiver. Pretty solid across the line. Russell will get better as he beefs up. Pond. Well, my dog's growling, so I'm kind of looking for my pistol here. It's actually up in my room. I need to go get it. Daigle, Barrows. They're pretty solid 2 deep there. O'Neill's a good option at a 3 deep. Haynes will be really good. He just needs to develop. Probably a freshman. Yep. And Abear, he's a junior, so I would call him a bust. Although he looks like he's probably a JUCO. So, that might be a guy to redshirt and get 3 years out of if he's that underdeveloped as a JUCO player. Taking a look at the defense, they've got real good depth. Paulson is a 9, Barnes is an 8. You got 7s in here. So, these guys are going to be really good maybe another year. I don't know how many of them are upperclassmen, but, if you've got sophomores and juniors in there, they should be really good here next year, year after. Pretty solid. And middle linebackers really deep. You got 4 deep there. Cox is your best outside linebacker long term. With so much depth at middle, if you're going to run a 4-3, you might want to look at one of these guys sliding over to an outside spot, maybe even two of them. Just something to think about. Or run a 3-4. But you've got so much depth at the nose tackle, you could run a 4-3 easily and not suffer. You'd still have good rotation. Morton, probably the one corner that I'd rely on. Follett, a little bit of a drop off. Dobbs and Oldham, he'll give you a really good pair of safeties. Figures and Adams, I mean, that's really solid backup guys there. Adams is going to be the better one long term. Might even make sure he gets a lot of playing time to develop. And, even Chavis down here at fourth string currently, probably third string, is got some good upside. Davis is a concern. Maybe a little, your nickel, your dime, I think you're okay. Any type of injuries, then you're getting into these 6 guys or underdeveloped 7s. Could be a concern, but they might actually have the defense to, compete or at least hang with some of the upper tier teams. So probably that third place finish coming in behind Maryland and Virginia Tech, not out of the realm of possibility. So probably look for something along those lines from the Ramblin' Wreck this year. Well, guys, let's take a quick look at the polls. We've got Ohio State number 1, Michigan number 2, Ole Miss 3 out of the SEC, Oregon at number 4, Michigan State at 5, the third Big Ten team there, Florida and Georgia from the SEC at 6 and 7, giving us 3 SEC teams in the top 7. South Florida, does that surprise anyone? Texas Tech, Cal, Cincinnati, Texas, Rutgers, Maryland, Virginia Tech, USC, Iowa, West Virginia, Pittsburgh, Alabama, Minnesota, Nebraska, Notre Dame, Utah, and Oklahoma. Other teams getting votes, we talked about Penn State probably getting ranked at some point. Wisconsin getting ranked at some point. North Texas actually got some votes this year, so I know Danny'd been looking at that he wasn't getting any preseason respect, but that means he's close to breaking into the top 25 on a regular basis. My Air Force team usually cracks the top 25 at some point for at least a couple of weeks, but no votes this year. Houston and Northwestern garnered some votes. LSU's right there on the cusp too. Georgia Tech we just covered. So anyway, guys, thank you for being members of the league. It's you guys that make this what it is. And whether you're on the forums every day or if you just export and we don't even know who you are, thank you for your participation to whatever level that you have. Thanks for making Sim Nation, in my opinion, the greatest sports community out there that I've seen, top to bottom. We see a lot of activity across the leagues from the WWCF, where you guys are participating in other leagues, GDCFL, SNCFL, the basketball league, some of the pro football leagues, PFL, GDCF, WWPF. Just thank you for your membership. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your time in running teams. And just thanks for being part of the group and being, part of the friend base. We certainly appreciate it. I don't know if you've watched all of these, tonight. I don't know if you'll watch all of these ever, but, I hope somebody watches them, or I just spent 5 hours or so of my life for nothing. But hey, thanks very much, and appreciate you guys checking the videos out. I'll be interested in anybody's feedback. if it was your team, how close do you think I analyzed your team? What are some things that I missed? Because, at the end of the day, I'll never know your team as well as I know mine. And you can only tell so much by looking at these screens. So, what are some things that we may have missed? What are some things that you're counting on? Give us some feedback on what you think your record is going to be this year. If I threw out a number, am I too high? Am I too low? Would you go to Vegas to bet against that number or for that number? Um, anyway, thanks for your time and have a good one. And we'll see you guys on opening day on Tuesday because the file went up about an hour ago. So we'll see you Tuesday night for week 1 of our 26th season. Take care.